Well, happy Monday, everyone. Welcome into another edition of Ask Mike. Good to be with you again alongside Mike Irwin with a lot of fun questions for this week. So we're going to jump right into it here. Our first question is from Lanny, who wants to know, how did the crowd at the Kentucky game compare to the crowd at the Auburn game? Everybody's saying it was off the charts.
You know, there's been a big debate about that because I read a lot of Facebook stuff, and some people are saying, well, it wasn't as good as Auburn. Other people say, no, it's better. And then people are still saying Barnhill was better. They go back and forth with all that stuff. I can only give you my opinion. There was a moment in that game, 13 seconds left, I think. Kentucky was down trying to get it to within one. Arkansas was up 3, and I think they might have been trying to tie it with a 3 or whatever. They did something in Arkansas, got the ball back, a rebound. Devo had the ball, 13 and a half seconds left. He takes off and he gets fouled. So the fans know then, 13 and a half seconds left to go in the game. Arkansas is up 3. He's probably going to hit at least one of these free throws, making it a 2-possession game. Arkansas is going to win. And so they were already making noise because Arkansas got the ball back and Kentucky didn't score. But now they kind of know, okay, there's a foul here. We got this.
Yeah.
And something happened that's never happened to me in Barnhill, Bud Walton, anywhere. And that is my ears were hurting. It was so loud. I put my hands over my ears. And I was like, wow, I could feel pressure on my eardrums. It was just the loudest noise I've ever heard in that place. Now, they listed the crowd as more like 19,000, and the Auburn was 20,300. I don't know how they do all that stuff. I was looking around, and I never noticed this before, but if you look all the way up at the last row of the upper deck seats, there's apparently a place for people to stand back there. Did you know that? Yeah,
No.
there were people standing all around.
I've actually never been up there, so
I'm going to walk up there someday and see what that is, but there were people standing behind those seats all the way around. It looked like to me you could get another 200 or 300 people at standing room only up there. So I don't know how you get more people in than were there. I just know the noise. I told somebody, I may have tweeted this, they used to have a light meter at Barnhill that would measure the noise decibel. I think they have to have a medical device to measure the pressure on your ears to find out if you're in danger of having your eardrums just totally blown inward because it was that loud. It was incredible. It was a great atmosphere.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, look, I experienced Auburn. That was amazing. I watched Kentucky on TV. It looked amazing. But yeah, I can't compare them either. But I know that both were incredible and definitely helped Arkansas get that win. Mousetown now wants to know, does anybody know what was wrong with JayWill against Kentucky? They said he was sick, but didn't give any specifics.
Well, the 2 players that came in after the game just said that he was throwing up at halftime, and then Musselman said that. Now, the interesting part to me was that I'm sitting up there on press row. Guy next to me, maybe 5-6 minutes to go, says, man, JayWill's not having his typical game. Something's wrong. And I looked at his numbers, and I think at that point he might have had 10 points, something like that. I thought he's down a little bit, but he's going up against a great player. Then when we get into the post-game thing, that's when we find out he was sick. They never did say how long he was sick for. To me, was he sick in the first half too? But the other explanation was that Musselman said this with Toshibwe, Kentucky's really stud forward. I mean, this guy's got huge hands. He can reach over a guy like JayWill, who's as tall as he is, and still control a rebound with his hands and not foul. I mean, he's an incredible rebounder. He's really good about making layups, but if he doesn't make it, he can go up and get a second chance tip in or whatever, or somebody else's. He's a force under the basket. And Musselman said, we started off the game giving JayWill some help. Well, that didn't work because Toshibwe was just tossing it off to the next guy because somebody has to be open if you're double teaming, and then they would dunk it. So he said we had to back off from that, which meant that Jalen was one-on-one with him. He's not getting any help. But what that then did is it tied up Toshibwe, and it allowed J.D. Notae to do what he did, which was to even score more points. He had an incredible game. So what I would say about JayWill is the guy was sick and he's still playing his rear end off, and he's still doing some things that allows Notae to go off in that game. But then I went back and looked with a little over 4 minutes to go. From that point on, when the game is really on the line, he scored 10 points down the stretch. It was incredible. He hit two 2 2-pointers and then hit the rest of it on free throws. And that's what he's been doing. Note's been doing this too. If you look at their schedule, where they've won 13 or 14 games or whatever it is, there's only been 3 of those that were like right down to the wire at the end. A lot of them were 8, 9, 10-point wins, but if you go and look at what really happened, they were close till about 6, 7 minutes to go in the game, and then there was a point at which guys like Jalen Williams and J.D. Note just take over. And that's what really good players do, and that's what good teams do. They figure out a way at the end to win games. Yeah. There's only been one that they didn't do, and that was the Alabama game.
Yeah, if you were watching it on TV like I was, the announcers were talking about Jalen Williams down the stretch and mentioned he looks tired. He is tired, and he was on the free throw line, and they were talking about how sometimes fatigue affects your free throw shooting. We've seen it, and he nails both of them.
And he was sick.
So focused, and of course, we didn't know that at the time, but again, just that's the perseverance and mental toughness.
He's putting himself kind of
Williams.
in a legend category,
It's pretty
with all these great
him.
players that people talk about in the past, Portis and all the guys you go back. He's in that category now.
He definitely will. Okay. All right, next question is Whole Hog Alum 87 says Sheboys seemed to get away with 3 seconds in the lane all day, and on one specific play, 8 seconds plus with no call. What is the actual rule, and do high-profile players get special treatment? It seems like his stats may be inflated due to setting up camp in the lane.
Well, the rule is 3 seconds, and it is probably the most overlooked rule in basketball. I've watched a lot of games this year, not just the Arkansas games. I've hardly ever seen that call, maybe 3 times all year. It just doesn't get called. I don't know why. I don't know if basically these conference commissioners have talked to their officials and said, look, that's a big play. You got a big man. You want points inside. You want balanced scoring. You don't want just a bunch of 3-point shooters. So if you got a great player inside, you got to give him a chance to maneuver. And so maybe they overlook it a little bit, or maybe they're just busy. I don't know what's going on there. But this game, it wasn't just going on in this game. It goes on all the time. I can't comment on if his statistics are a result of favorable treatment, or if they wouldn't be, if they would actually call the rule or whatever, because I don't watch enough Kentucky games to know how that goes. I just know in this one, yes, he was in the lane a lot, where he could have been called for a 3-second violation. But I don't think it had anything to do with this game specifically, because they don't do it at all in any games I watch.
You know, what exactly is the rule? Because I did see a lot of people talking about this on Twitter, and I was a little curious, too, about especially I think I know exactly which 8-second play he's talking about. Is it your whole entire body, or if, like, I'm pretty sure, like, Sheboy's foot, and I'm playing devil's advocate, I'm not over here trying to defend him. But I think half of his foot was inside that line in the lane and half of it was out, which means your 3 seconds gets started. Do you know the exact rule by chance?
I don't know if they distinguish between, because I've read the rule and it doesn't say anything. It just says you have to be outside. You cannot be inside the lane for more than 3 seconds if you're an offensive player. So I assume that means, it doesn't say, but I would assume if you're in there, even if you've got a foot in there, you're in there. So he violated it, but I don't think it had anything to do with this game specifically. I just think it's going on everywhere, and you'd have to talk to an official to understand. I'm not one.
I'm not either.
So maybe Tommy Kraft could tell us, why do they do that?
He would be a really good person
But they just don't call it very often.
Woopig 348 wants to know, with senior night coming up, who of Muss's 8-man rotation could you see returning next year?
Well, Devo Davis, obviously, he'll be back. I think Audice Tony can come back.
He can.
If they want him and he wants to come back, he can come back. Clearly, Note can come back if he wants to. And Jalen Williams can come back if he wants to. Now, those 2 guys probably are going to have or NBA options. Wrong sport. NBA options. The way they come back is if they feel like another year jacks them up even higher. This is going to come down to draft projections. Are you low first round, second round? Where are you? The thing about Note is this is really his first year of being exclusively a point guard, and he's really developed in that respect. So if you gave him another year, I mean, the thing that's amazing about him is he's not just developed into a point guard. He's done it without it affecting his scoring. And so if he goes to the NBA and they're confident this guy can not only distribute the ball and do the things point guards do, but if he can score too, that ups his stock. Now, would another year make that even better? I don't know. That's a discussion that's going to happen at the end of the year. But those are the guys that can come back. The other thing you have to take into consideration is they got some 3, maybe 2 McDonald's All-Americans, maybe 3 if they had one more. This could end up being a #1 class in the country, and you got all these guys coming in, and they got to play. So what do you do with these people?
Yeah, for sure. All right, Nostalgia says, the nation watched probably the best coach in college today, and I'm afraid the big boys will come calling soon. I shudder. I'm assuming he's talking about Muss. Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. Let's start with the fact that he has built this on his own. You know, how often do you build something and then go, yeah, okay, that's cool. I've done it and I'm going away from it a lot. If I build something, I want to keep it. And he's done this. How has he done it? He's done it by going on campus and building the students into what they are right now. He reached out to them. That's why more of them are coming to games and being louder and all that, because they like him. So he's done that. He's brought Bud Walton back to where it used to be. That's no small feat. I'm telling you, there were people trying to tell me it will never happen again. Now you want to tell me you want to reduce seating in there? Get lost. You're wrong. Shut up. He's done that. So why would he want to leave all of that stuff? I think he's got the best fan base, the best students, the best arena. So who else is going to offer him more? Now also, and I've talked about this before, really good coaches that come here and have success don't leave. You can't name anybody that did. Hatfield's the closest, and he had issues, and he and Briles had issues with each other. Well, Musselman does not have an issue with Hunter Yurachek. Hunter Yurachek's the guy that hired him. They have a really good relationship. That's not a problem. Then you go to Danielle, his wife. She has relatives in Arkansas. She loves it here. Mariah, the daughter, loves it here. They don't want to uproot her. The family, they're here. I just don't see him leaving, and I don't see Yurachek sitting around going, well, let's see, Duke wants him, but I don't want to pay him, so go to Duke. I don't think that happens.
Yeah.
He's going to make a lot of money here, and he's going to stay, in my opinion.
Right now, I think the biggest big-name program with an opening is Louisville at the moment.
But Duke is going to open. Well, did they already?
Duke has a coach in waiting, yeah. Duke has their coach in waiting already.
That may not last, but.
Sure, but I think right now, as we speak, Louisville is shopping around trying to figure out who's going to replace Chris Mack. All right, anybody says, from Pee Wee basketball to the pros, I've never seen a team walk off the court early. I understand the safety issues regarding storming the court, but come on, congratulate the winning team. It's called good sportsmanship.
You know, I don't think that was a big deal to Arkansas's players. Note said, we won, who cares? Probably made some of the fans mad. Everybody's got their own interpretation of what happened there. I think because of the storming of the court at Auburn, Coach Cal could say with a straight face, I sent them off because I was afraid for their safety. It's bogus. I'm telling you, he was taking a shot. Here's what he was doing. He was saying visually to the college basketball world, you know, we're Kentucky. Our fans don't do this because they expect us to win. We don't rush the court. This is one of those weird places where they get all excited when they beat a good team, and that kind of is dangerous. And so, yeah, they beat us today. Congratulations, you beat us. But, man, I got to get my guys out of here. It's weird around here, which was nonsense. I mean, if you look at video of what really happened when the game was over, the Kentucky players just walked off. The 5 that were still out there on the court just walked off. Were they unsafe? No, they didn't have any problem. Here's what I would say about that. If I could talk to him, I would say, no, you kind of misinterpreted that. What you probably should have realized was it was a bigger deal for our fans to beat Auburn than to beat your team. Beating you guys just didn't make our fans go bonkers. And then you got the insult right back at him. So. But that's what
he does
it was.
Like Herman's, though.
Yeah, he likes Herman's, but
he saw that photo.
He was taking a little parting
Yeah,
shot
of course.
because, you know, that's what you do when you get beat and you're mad.
Yeah. Blood Red Hog wants to know, what is Sharkensaw and how do I get the T-shirt?
Okay, that was on Hogville. Whole thing was discussed on Hogville. The guy claimed that he was in the fraternity on campus. I forget the name of it, but in 2017 it started, and I guess there was a game against Minnesota, and he said he and his frat brothers wanted to be noticed. So they dreamed up an idea where you couldn't help but notice them, and that would be to get these shark suits. So they go out and they order them and they bring them in, and then you've got to go through the process of getting the athletic department to let you wear them into the arena, which they went through that process, and they did it. And since then, it's only been done a few times, but I guess the costumes have remained with that fraternity, and when they deem it to be a big game, they go ahead and do it. It's a little bit controversial for this reason. There are fans there that don't like it because Ole Miss has that land shark thing, and they don't like anything that looks like Ole Miss. So some fans don't like that. Other fans don't like the fact that it's blue, like Kentucky. So what are you doing? You look like you're a Kentucky fan wearing shark. So they complained about that. Other people were saying, give it a rest. These are just students being crazy, so leave them alone. So you can debate this all you want. Now, the important question, how do you get one of those T-shirts? If you want the authentic T-shirt, because there's probably some knockoffs out there, but if you want the real thing, you probably have to go on to eBay, because those are given by the athletic department to the students.
Yeah.
And it's free. They don't buy them. The athletic department says, here, and they give it to them. Yeah. So if you're not a student, you're not going to get one of those given to you, and you can't buy it unless it's somewhere where somebody's willing to sell it. So that's the best answer I can give.
I think Sharkensaw is funny.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it.
Sharkensaw. It's just, I think it's clever.
Okay. Eddie Lynn asks, have you seen the photo of the guy mooning a Kentucky player shooting free throws? I think it's embarrassing, but a lot of my friends think it's funny. What about you?
Man, we could talk about this all day long. You wouldn't believe people on Facebook that I've been in discussions with that a huge number of fans think it was hilarious. They don't have any problem with it. And what I tried to argue with them was, look, I'm a guy that came up here 46 years ago from Texas. When I go home and see people that I grew up with, and we get together once a year, have reunions, somebody's backyard or whatever, there's 15 or 20 of us. When I do that, they've always done this to me. Hey, when are you going to move back? Do they have indoor plumbing up there? How many hillbillies do you know? Have you learned to play the banjo? They do that kind of stuff to me all the time. And it was funny at first, but it's annoying and I don't like it. And the last time they did it, I remember telling this one kid, I said, well, you remember Mrs. Freeland's fourth grade class? Yeah. You remember the picture that was over her desk, the painting? Who was that? Oh, George Washington. You know what? The real painting is in Northwest Arkansas. I can drive up there in 15 minutes and go in and see it free. You can't do that in Lubbock. We're not hillbillies up here, okay? So I don't like that kind of talk. So here's the problem with the mooning thing. Now, and by the way, after the Auburn game, I had people calling me, man, I didn't know you guys had that big of an arena. Really? Has it always been that big? Yeah. How long have you had it? Oh, about 20-something years. Really? Oh, wow, that's cool. So they're
You're getting some street cred.
Yeah, they're finally starting to think, okay, stuff is going on up here. And then after this thing, guy calls me, hey, you just drop your pants? Is that a new thing with causing free throws problems? I wouldn't be able to shoot a free throw. Some guy's mooning me. And I'm going to look at one guy. I don't think they even saw him. I don't think anybody knew it was going on. It was way up there. So, yeah, I don't think it was necessarily a huge deal, but I think fans need to understand that this is not funny, because the image that it portrays is ding, 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 ding.
Mike doesn't need his friends in Texas giving him a hard time.
Anywhere. You don't want somebody, all this good PR that's been done over the last 3 or 4 weeks with the world of college basketball, seeing, hey, basketball is really played here about as well or better than anywhere else, but we do have these guys that drop their pants at games. Don't pay any attention to that. I just don't like that idea. So I did reach out to the athletic department. Yeah. And the only answer I've gotten so far is that they were not aware that it happened. And had they been aware that it happened, he would have been escorted out of the place when it happened, but it didn't happen. Now, are they still going to do anything? I don't know. And it's their call. It's not my call. It's their building. They can do whatever they want if they don't think it's a problem. And I'm not on some sort of crusade about this. I just don't. I don't know, mooning has never been a ha-ha thing with me. I used to do it in high school. The guys who couldn't get dates, especially freshmen, couldn't get dates, so they're all driving around together in little cars, and here's these guys with his girlfriend on a date, and they drive by and moon them. I've seen guys get the crap beat out of them for doing that. You know, it was not funny where I was from. Might have been funny if you were a stupid freshman. It wasn't funny if you were an upperclassman.
Hanging out at the wigwam, driving
Yeah,
by
the
moving
wigwam
people.
and the moonings and all that stuff is not cool.
Not cool. No, it's not. All right, I was just watching John Neighbors' Hate Kentucky Basketball podcast. He was retelling the story about what happened with the Monks. Where do the Monks sit on the all-time hated sports-related individuals list in Arkansas?
You know, that's all gone. That was a big controversy several years ago, and what fueled it was the fact that Arkansas was losing all of its top players. It seemed like every year the top player in the state was going somewhere else, and sometimes to an SEC school like Florida, or to, in Malik Monk's case, to Kentucky. And Marcus Monk had played football at Arkansas. He'd been involved in AAU basketball as kind of a career way of making some money. And I know up in the Bentonville area, they'd had tournaments up there. Everybody had helped him. People, you know, they were willing to help him, but they liked him, but they also wanted Malik to come to Arkansas. So when all of a sudden, abruptly in the early signing period, Marcus announces publicly, hey, he's going to Kentucky as a business decision. Sorry, but this is what we're going to do. People were just mad, really mad. And what I'm telling you is that's all gone now. Why? Because Musselman came in and flipped the script. I mean, he's out recruiting Kentucky now. Arkansas is the one that has one and dones now. Had one last year, might have three next year. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. And so if you're a Lakers fan and also a Razorback fan, you're going to say they're going to boo him? No. I mean, it's all over. Nobody cares about that anymore. It's just gone.
But you were fired up about it then.
A little bit, because I felt like that Mike was, people were saying that Mike he was just lazy and didn't recruit him hard. And I know that wasn't true. And I just didn't, I was trying to defend Mike, but you don't have to defend Mike anymore. He's gone and he's doing all right where he is. And Musselman has, again, flipped the script. Nobody has to worry about that anymore.
All right, Slobber Slob says, well, we lost the home opener, so the sky is falling. Started SEC play 0-3, the sky is falling. I think that's true of most fans everywhere. But what do you think is the largest overreaction by Hog fans? We are a temperamental lot.
Yeah, I don't think there's been necessarily an overreaction. There's always people that go way over the top on the internet, but I don't have a problem with somebody knowing that Arkansas was ranked number 2 in the nation, starting off after the year they had last year, and you start off the season and you're not hitting the baseball and it continues through both weekends. I don't think there's any problem with somebody going, what's going on here? This was a team that's hitting around 270, 275 last year. They're hitting around like 225, 230 right now. But worse than that, I think they're like 0 for 10 with the bases loaded. They're not driving in runs. And it was bad enough the first weekend, but when you go up against Stanford in your first big game, ranked team versus ranked team, and you get 2 hits or 3 hits, and you don't score a run, and then you've got Louisiana in the second game, and you go 16 innings without an earned run. The only 2 runs you score in 16 innings were on an error and a bases-loaded walk. And you've got people like Robert Moore coming up in situations where he can drive in some runs and he strikes out. You know, and it's not just the rookies that aren't doing this. Big name hitters that were delivering last year right now aren't. So what's going on? Okay, so I'm talking to some people, not Nate Thompson. I'm not going to call him up, and here's what they say. Look, this was an issue last year for a while because they just believe that those kids are being taught to power hit, and when you power hit, you're going to strike out a lot. And especially early in the year, it's not conducive to power hitting. And then a lot of these games have had wind blowing in, so they've hit some what would be home runs, but they get knocked down by the wind. And so one guy that I particularly pay attention to, because he knows a lot about college baseball, he just said, look, when it warms up a little bit and the wind's not blowing in all the time, you're going to see these guys bashing home runs, and they're going to score runs. He said the good thing is the pitching is better than we thought it was, and it is. In his press conference after the game, DVH said, look, our relief pitchers did a great job this weekend of getting us out of problems. Now, I got blasted on Twitter because I did a tip of the cap to these relievers, because that Stanford game could have been a double-digit loss. They got into some real bad situations, but with the help of some good defense, but some of their own pitching, they got Arkansas out of some really bad situations, and I think that bodes well down the road. If this team can start hitting, I think they're going to be fine, because the pitching is better than we thought it was, and we know the defense is good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Burn Bradley doesn't like the idea that you've kind of presented as a 4-team pods when the SEC expands in 2024. He says a pod would force schools to play each other every other year, 3 by 6. So having
See, I don't know
3 sections
I
is
put this
better.
in there because I like to answer questions, but
Sure.
I'm confused by what he means, because is he talking about 3 divisions with 6 teams in it?
I think
Is he talking
that's what
about
he
6
means.
pods with 3 teams in it?
I think I read this. This was sent in to us from via an email, and I think he means if you had 3
Divisions
with 6.
teams.
That was my interpretation, at least.
But here's the problem. It doesn't matter how you do that. That's 18 teams, and they got 16 teams. So they're not going to do it that way. Now, here's the thing that I don't like and have never liked, because I go back to the old days where everybody played everybody in a conference. You didn't have crossover games. So when they started expanding, we get all these crossover games, SEC East, SEC West, and we see what happens to Arkansas, for instance. The last 2 years, they've gotten absolutely hosed on their schedule, because they always seem to get the teams that, you're always
really
there
good in
playing
the
Georgia
East.
all the time. And so it's just uneven, and it's almost like the luck of the way it rotates would affect the way you end up having a season. I don't like that idea. I like everybody playing everybody, so how could you do that? It's real simple. You add 2 more teams. Don't bring in 2, bring in 2 more. I don't care. Go get Oklahoma State. Go over there and get Florida State. Bring them in here. Get them all in here.
I don't need that.
And you've got 18 teams, 2 9-team divisions, but they're really a separate conference. It's a conference overall, but they don't play each other. You play everybody, all 8 teams that are not you play in your division. Then,
I was going to say, how would you determine a SEC champion?
here's how you do it,
Okay.
because this would be cool in my opinion.
Okay.
You take the top 2 teams in each of the divisions, and they play each other. The top team in the West plays the 2 in the East, and vice versa. And then, so you're adding an extra game. So the SEC champion would be determined by 2 games, not 1, like it is now.
So you'd almost have like an SEC playoff?
It's a little mini
Sort of.
playoff. It'd be 2 games instead of 1. But what you then would have almost certainly is the 2 teams that made the championship game of the SEC, they would be in the college football playoff. So I would like to see that. I would like to see it because everybody plays the same opponents. That's what I want to see. I don't like crossover stuff.
Okay. Rob's 4515 says Auburn's recent shenanigans got me thinking about former coach playoffs. Is Arkansas still paying, or payoffs, excuse me, I'm sorry. Is Arkansas still paying Bielema and or Morris?
Okay, the Bielema thing was settled. They were both suing each other. Arkansas was suing Bielema. Bielema was suing Arkansas. And about a year or so ago, that got settled. They settled out of court. And he's been paid off. What's still happening is, yes, Chad Morris, the worst coach in the history of Arkansas, is still getting his buyout paid out. I guess he gets monthly checks. I don't know. I would hope that's over soon, but I wasn't given information about how far along they are on that, just that they are still paying him off.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yuck.
Salty Sport comments on Grambling hire former Baylor head coach Art Briles. He says someone was going to take a risk on him eventually. Co-eds should stock up on mace and whatnot. That's a little
Look,
okay.
I've been amazed over the last. When did that happen? When was Art Briles fired? Was that 3 years ago?
No. I would say. I can look it up, but I feel like it was like 5 years ago.
Well, however long ago it was, there's always been talk, oh, he's going to be a head coach again. You know, he'll have to sit out a little while, but he'll be a head coach again. Or if he's not a head coach, he'll be a coordinator at a Power 5 school because he's good. Well, none of those things have happened. What him taking this job at Grambling tells me is he's really paying the price for what happened there.
2015.
Okay, he's really I mean, he spent 6 years now, and he's finally gotten himself a coordinator's job at a mid-major, or I don't even know if they're mid-major. Grambling is that Division II or
I'm not sure.
FCS? I'm not sure. We'd have to look that up too.
Again.
But
I got a handy dandy phone here.
It's certainly not a Power 5 conference biggie like some people kept saying he would get. So my guess is he's going to do well because he is a good play caller and he knows how to coach quarterbacks.
They are a D1. They're in the SWAC.
Okay,
D1
the SWAC. Says I don't pay any attention to the SWAC, so I didn't know that.
That's okay.
It's embarrassing.
No, it's fine. We all learned something new today.
But the point is, I think he will probably be successful. So as long as his quarterbacks, the people in his quarterback room, and I assume he's going to coach quarterbacks, don't do anything bad, then he's fine. And at some point, I think he's going to move up as a coordinator. I don't think he's ever going to be a head coach again, because here's why. A head coach is the one that's in charge of discipline. If you have women on campus coming to you and saying, this guy raped me, and you try to cover it up as the head coach, that's on you, and you should never be a head coach again. And there's plenty of evidence that he knew what was going on. Now, the school was culpable too. Baylor was culpable. The administration knew, but he knew too, you know. So I think because of that, they're not going to trust him. I don't think an AD would. You're not going to trust him with disciplining of players when he's done that, but if he's just an assistant coach, I think he will move up like that. I don't think he'll be a head coach again.
Okay. Nash WPS 18 asks, must DVH and Pittman, has there been a better combo on campus at the same time?
You know, if you went technically back to the late 80s, while Ken Hatfield was still here, you had Nolan, Ken Hatfield, and Norm DeBryan. That was a pretty good combo of the so-called money revenue sports. But that didn't last very long because Hatfield left, and so then you ended up with Jack Crow, and then you didn't have the same effect. So I would say what's happening right now, yeah, it's the best combo because I think it's going to last a lot longer than the other one did.
Okay,
All right.
I like it. All right, here we go. Final question from my man, Team Otis. Did you get to meet Duke Deuce at the basketball game? Also, are there any cool celebrities you remember coming to Hogs games over the weekend? Hey, I heard you were in the line for an autograph.
Look, here's the deal. I wouldn't know Duke Deuce. The only reason I know who he is because they kept putting him up on the board while they were doing the disc jockey music. And I assumed, okay, he's the guy that does that, all right, because he's got the music going.
You
and
put
they're
two and
showing
two
him.
together. All
so
right,
I've kind of figured that out. But no, I didn't get to meet him, and he wouldn't want to meet me. He wouldn't know. Yeah, that wouldn't happen. So I don't have any problem with him. It's just he's not the cool celebrity for me. Now, who would be a cool celebrity? I'm not typical. If Marvin Delph shows up at a basketball game, the former Razorback under Eddie Sutton, Marvin's a cool celebrity to me. I don't worry. He's still living in Central Arkansas. That guy's cool. Nolan is cool. Nolan starts coming back to games. Nolan is cool. I like seeing Nolan at games. He's a celebrity. Yeah. Norm DeBryan is cool.
All the time. Norm's great.
Normie comes into the media room and he's a celebrity to me.
Great.
He's great. He's awesome. So that guy's cool. I did once, and I've mentioned this before, I did get to talk to Jack Nicholson very briefly at an Arkansas game at halftime, but it was in Seattle, not here at the Final Four. So that's as close as I've come to some cool celebrity like that. Now, who could they invite that I would want to meet them?
Okay.
Tom Selleck, Magnum PI,
you and every
Blue
woman.
Bloods. Tom Selleck, I'd like to meet that guy. Okay, remember Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan on Forrest Gump?
Oh, yeah.
Love to meet that guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Lieutenant Dan, I would yell at him.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan.
I think he has a band.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. The band
great.
can go play at JJ's Live. Would you go see him?
Yes,
Yeah.
he was there. I like him. Okay, and then Lionel Richie, you know this.
It. Oh, yeah.
If they ever, and of course, I don't think he does much anymore. I don't see him around. But if he came to a game, I would say, okay, I got to meet Lionel Richie.
Yeah, and Gloria Estefan.
So why don't they invite those people so that I can meet them?
There you go, Elvis Moya. You heard it here first. Mike Irwin.
We want Tom
Lionel
Selleck.
Richie and
we
Tom
want Lieutenant
Selleck
Dan.
and Lieutenant Dan at a basketball game. Make it happen. All right, we'll work on it. We'll see what we can do for the next season. That's going to do it for this week's Ask Mike. We'll see you next week.